Hallelujah. 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 Praise the mighty God. Praise the mighty God. Most High. For another opportunity to come out here to give praise and reverence to your high and holy name, to expound upon your word, to teach the children of Israel, your people, the children of Israel have been scattered across the four corners of the earth, to give them the knowledge of wisdom and understanding. Anybody who wants to join the house of the children of Israel as we serve this great King. Most High, we ask that you bless me with the words that I speak, and that they all be pleasing to you. We ask that you bless the reader. We ask that you bless the mother, the brothers, the mothers, the fathers. Most High God, we ask that you watch over us, Most High, and allow everything that we convey to be a blessing to you and to this nation, Most High, and to the people, that they can receive it. And we ask that we put it in a way that is easy to receive and easy to interpret. And we give praise and reverence to your high and holy name. Hallelujah. 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 Praise the mighty God. Praise the mighty God. Shalom, family. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, all praise, all glory to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yah Most High, maker, the creator, the owner, the possessor of all things and everything. Yeah. Secondly, I want to give much respect to Chief Principal Ben Zabumu, the founder and leader of Shemot Israel. Also, I want to give respect to Prince Nathaniel, Ben Chief Principal Ha-Nasi, and also want to give respect to Prince Nathaniel Ben Lewi, the leader of SOG. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Shalom, family. Shalom. This is your first time watching us. This is a Torah class that we have. The Torah portions are broken up into 52 portions, and over the course of the year, we cover all 52 portions. We are in the book of Exodus. There are 5 books in the so-called Torah. The Torah is found in the Old Testament of your Bible. So if you're looking, if you have a King James Version, we keep it between the first 5 books all year round, and we expound upon the prophets. We are the children of Israel. We are the Hebrew Israelites, and we're here to teach you and show you. If you are watching this, 9 times out of 10, you are Israelite. If you are a descendant of the transatlantic slave trade, whether it be Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Haiti, America, North America, South America, North Korea, Japan, Tokyo, Australia, Indonesia, all these places, you are a descendant of the children of Israel. It's been prophesied that the children of Israel will be sent on slave ships for turning away from their God. No, their God is not Allah or the Christ in the New Testament. Their God is Yah Most High, the maker, the creator, the owner, possessor of everything. We serve the one God, the true and living God. And we're not here to bash anybody's belief, but we're here to show you, you have a special relationship with the creator of heaven and earth, because being a part of the children of Israel, you need no middleman to intercess for you. No one needs a middleman, actually, but we're here to teach the children of Israel, especially that you have a direct connection. You have the direct line to the King of the universe, to the maker, the creator, the owner, possessor of all things and everything. And what we would wish to convey is that we're going over the Torah portion, Shemot. Now, if you've been following us on Shema Yisrael on our YouTube page, you can see that we've been covering the book of Genesis, or what we would call in Hebrew, Bereshit, which is the beginning. Now we're in the book of Shemot, which is names. There's another word for the word names. You also have the word Shem, but this is the word names. This is names, plural. So Exodus is what you will find as an English, that's a Latin term, but we try to give it to you so you can understand it. And then we also give it to you in the Hebrew term, because we want to get back to our root and to our essence. The way we do our Torah portions goes in this manner. It's broken down from, in this verse, from our forefathers. This is how they broke it down, so we can keep a track of it and study it. Exodus 1:1 to Exodus 6:1 is the Torah portion of Shemot. Whenever you enter a new book, the first Torah, the first name in the book will always take place. The Torah portion will always take the place of the name. So in Genesis, the beginning of that is Bereshit, and Bereshit is the first Torah portion. In Exodus, the beginning of that is Shemot. That's the same word. So the first portion is going to be Shemot. In Leviticus, it's going to be Vayikra. That's the first portion of that. In Numbers, Bar Midbar, and in Deuteronomy, Devarim. So as we go through this, this is important, because we get something in this portion, and the reason why his names, matter of fact, I'll save that. We're going to go over the who. We have to give you context too. Here is Shema Yisrael. The way you get context, and whenever you read something, you have to leave with an understanding. The Torah teaches, get you knowledge, get you wisdom, but above all things, get you understanding. So you have to know who is speaking about, what they're speaking about in context. Because if I tell you that I slapped somebody, I can be seen as a jerk. If I tell you I slapped somebody because they slapped my mother, it's put in proper context and that is justified. So a lot of the things that's taught negatively about the children of Israel are taught out of context, therefore they're not justified. So we're here to give you the context in which the word was meant to be conveyed without proof texting, without jumping around. The who is always more than likely going to be about the creator of heaven and earth or the children of Israel. There are rare occasions where you have versions that's not about the children of Israel, but this is about us. The what is our captivity in the land of Egypt. The where is in the land of Goshen, also known as the land of Avaris. If you're a scholarly person, you want to look into it. They went through something called anachronism. Anachronism is when you take something from modern day times to make sense of an ancient day time thing. So if you said the Twin Towers effect happened in New Amsterdam, we understand that for people who know New Amsterdam used to be what New York used to be. So when they say, oh, that didn't happen, because when I look it up, that happened in the city of Avaris. Okay, back then it was just called Goshen. We don't get too deep into that right there. So that's just so you can understand how these things break down. And we're going to get into this further because as you're going to see, a lot of the pharaohs aren't named. So you have to have a more scholarly background to understand who and what is being spoken about. We're going to get into the when. The when is during the 12th/13th dynasty in Egypt. It has been taught in the past is during the 18th dynasty, but we understand that's during the time of King Saul. So that can't be true due to our records. We don't go by Egyptian timelines. If you go by Egyptian timelines, you're going to be thrown off because they do something called stacking their timelines above each other. And they also go by oregano dating. Oregano dating is done when you place something by the place of when the king lived in that time. So they don't count our timeline before King David because that's when they consider us a nation. And also the Egyptians had people who ruled at the same time. Prime example, before we get into the Torah portion. If you count the time of when the northern states broke away from the southern states, they had two different presidents. And if you stack that on, it makes America look like they had more rulers than they actually had, when in all actuality they were contemporaries. So you don't want to go by this. You want to go by the word of the true and living God, the Holy Scriptures. This is the book that we will be reading out of for the people who are looking. Let me get a more crisp one. You want to get I don't want to give you one with the tape. We use our blades in here, but we want to give you one with a tape. You can find this online on Amazon. It's the Holy Scripture. It contains the Old Testament, or what they would call the Old Testament, but this is the only book that you will find the name of the true and living God, which is about to be revealed to us in this portion right here. In the why is something that we don't know. We debate, we have fun with, we go back and forth, but only the creator of heaven and earth. If anybody they can tell you why something happens, they lied to you. This is only revealed to the creator of heaven and earth. You don't know why your parents did something. You can guess why they did something. You can speculate why they did something. The reason your parents told you not to go somewhere could just be at their own understanding or how they want to do stuff. So remember, anytime somebody tells you why or a motive, it's just a way of making a book more intriguing, but it's never actually what the creator of heaven and earth is. We can only speak for what's on the pages right here. So without further ado, we're going to start off with the Torah portion, Shemot or Exodus, which starts off as Exodus 1:1.
We're in the book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 1. Let us all say hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Now these are the names of the sons of Israel who came into Egypt with Jacob. Every man came with his household. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher.
Stop. We're going to stop right there. I'm going to try to keep it, normally I go really deep into it, but I'm going to keep it base because at the Torah class, we're supposed to get understanding. So I always want to make sure that we convey the base level points so that way people can understand it, because we have new people watching for the first time that may not have a full range of knowledge. So I'm going to give it to you in the simplest terms. And in the beginning, it starts off with names. The name of the portion is called names. Our patriarch, our forefather, the person that the Most High said, look from the rock from which he was hewn, is Father Abraham. I don't care what country you say you from. If you're a descendant of the children of Israel, we all trace back to this man right here. His son was Yitzchak or Isaac. Isaac had a son called Jacob. Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Jacob had 12 sons. In the order that they were born in, these are their 12 sons. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, Benjamin. Benjamin was sold into slavery by his brothers because they basically had a disagreement with him. Joseph, Torah. Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers, minus Benjamin, because Benjamin was a baby at this time. Zebulun, Issachar, Gad, Naphtali, Dan, Judah, Levi, Simeon, Reuben sold Joseph into slavery. When Joseph went down into Egypt, he had two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. This is part of him doing a 13-year prison stint where he was falsely accused of rape or of adultery, and he was actually a visionary that saw visions and interpreted dreams in the name of the Most High God for the Pharaoh. He saw 7 years of growth, and then he saw 7 years of growth, and he saw 7 years of famine. He interpreted for the Pharaoh, and he also was intelligent enough, because this wasn't a part of the dream. So this shows you the intelligence of our forefathers, and I got to give credit to Nasi Yashubel, because he pointed out to me. He came up with a mathematical system to make sure that lasted 4 to 7 years of the famine. So you always have to understand, God just gave him a dream. God never told him in the dream, this is how you store this stuff. This was of the Creator, still gave him the knowledge, we would understand it, because we always give praise to the Creator of heaven and earth. But however, it's part of the dream that wasn't a part of it. The mathematician part, the mathematics behind it, was on Joseph through the Creator of heaven and earth. So we praise the Most High for that right here. So math is important, kids. If you're watching this with your family, math is important. I know some of us hate math. And just to catch you up to speed, they are down in the land of Egypt. Now, Joseph moved up from being basically a slave to being second in command in Egypt because of his knowledge and his understanding. But, however, I'm going to give you both opinions, and I'll let you decide which one when you read it yourself. Some people say Joseph was tyrannical, and he swindled the people out of all their goods. Some people, which is our forefathers, they're going to see Joseph as a savior, as some type of guy who came about and gave this great system that helped the people survive. But this is what makes the Torah so beautiful. You can decide which narrative you want to go with, because there is no wrong way to look at that situation right there. It's just a perspective you want to have. So now that we're in this time right now, Tamshi, just to catch you up to speed, Tamshi.
All the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls.
So these 12 children came down with their father. Joseph was already in the land, and their children equaled 70 souls. This is important when we go later on, because if you're a person who believes in the New Testament, when you go into the book of Acts, believe it's the 9th chapter. We don't go by that, but I'm just giving you an example for your book. It's going to say it was 75 souls. God doesn't make mistakes. So they miscounted because they used a book called the Septuagint, which is a Greek translation. You will not find it translated anywhere where it's 75 souls other than in that New Testament. Deuteronomy says the same recap, and Genesis says the same recap. But in the book of Acts, it mistakenly says 75 souls, and that's one of the reasons, one of the few reasons why we stay away from that book. The word of God says in Deuteronomy 4, verse 2, don't add to my word nor take away from it. The word of God, it consists of Genesis to the book of Malachi, which is the so-called Old Testament. Anything added on to that is an addition, and we don't go by it. Tamshi.
And Joseph was in Egypt already. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there rose a king over Egypt, who knew not Joseph.
Stop. You're going to point some things out. Joseph dies. Joseph is the savior to the Hebrews. But remember, when you go back 2 chapters, the Egyptians had to sell everything they had so that way they can get food. So as they're looking at us grow better, they're growing resentful. They're looking at this scenario as he's not some good guy. I have nothing and they have everything. We don't have anything because we sold everything to them and they're not even from here. Just to give you an example, Egypt wasn't like Egypt, how you think it is. There weren't the Ottoman Turks. Those are not the original Egyptians. The Egyptians that inhabited the land of Egypt in this time is in the Sudan. You can look and you can find they are the same people. Right now you have Ottoman Turks in Egypt. So just to give you an example of what Egypt was like New York today, a melting pot of a lot of people. Because as we go further on into the portion, when we leave this land, you're going to see it says a mixed multitude left with them. So at the end of the day, you have a bunch of people who they may be coming from different places, and their only memory of Joseph is how they sold all their stuff to him. And this is to give you a perspective that I think you should get. To the people in Iraq, Bin Laden may be a liberator. To America, Bin Laden's a terrorist. It's dependent on which angle you look at it from. So they're not happy of what happened with Joseph, and all they see is us gaining more and more and more and becoming more powerful as a people and becoming more fruitful as a people. So the Most High is allowing this situation to happen because we have to learn a lesson. Because as you know, us as the children of Israel, when we become fruitful, we always tend to forget about the creator of heaven and earth. So let's see how this story plays out further. Tamshi.
And behold, he said unto his people, behold, the children of Israel are too many and too mighty for us. Come, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when they befall us any wrong, they
to the Asherites. I apologize. Yeah, we did not ask you. Tamshi.
They also join themselves unto our enemies.
Read that again. Sleep down. What verse is this?
Verse 10. Start at 11.
Yeah.
Therefore they did set them over taskmasters to afflict with them.
No, go back 2 verses. I want them to understand the genesis of what's going on. And read the chapter, say the chapter and verse that means so they can stay with us.
When the book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 9, let us all say hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
He said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are too many and too mighty for us.
Before this, if you read a line back, it says a new Pharaoh arose who knew not Joseph. That's an interesting statement right there because Joseph had to be the most famous guy in the land. How did he save everybody? Because our fathers from Canaan came down into Egypt to get food. So that's a pretty condescending remark to say you knew not of Joseph. People in Africa know about Obama. People in China, he didn't do nothing for us. So to say I knew not Joseph is a very important thing because that shows you the resentment. That means I didn't care. And when you go through the recap is showing you when it's going through the names, another perspective to look at it from is it's starting you over again. Because all that other stuff doesn't matter. So I'm giving you the names again of who went down in Egypt because this is a fresh start. I'm a new guy. I don't even know these dudes. So just like the Torah is reintroducing them to you in Exodus, is the same way they're getting reintroduced to Pharaoh. All he sees is these are my enemies. But you're going to see a parallel between what the Israelites went through in Egypt and what we go through as the children of Israel in America and all these countries during our captivity. Tamshi.
Behold, the people of the children of Israel are too many and too mighty for us. Come, let us deal wisely with them. Lest they multiply, they come to pass.
Now stop. When you go into our legacy, when you go into the island of Puerto Rico, America went into that country and sterilized our women in that country, but they didn't put that out on the mainstream media. The same way this conversation happened behind closed doors, and it wasn't put out in the mainstream media. It was a documentary done by Rosie Perez, which spoke about how they went into that country and sterilized the women, but these are the children of Israel. So the same things that happens there is the same things that's happening here. Tamshi.
Lest they multiply, they come to pass. When they befall of us any war, they also join themselves unto our enemies and fight against us and get them up out of the land.
Now listen to this right here. Why would that be a concern if we had everything? Remember, it says we grew mighty, we grew wonderful, and we grew plentiful in that land. So But when they're looking at us like that, these are people who never had to see us as their allies. They always had to picture us as their enemies. This is why Pharaoh is taking that stance right there. Let us deal wisely with these children of Israel before they get with our enemies and work against us and fight against us. Come sheep.
Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh store cities, Pithom, Ramah, Pithom, and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied, and the more they spread abroad.
What this is saying, its translation term is stress had the men go home and be intimate with their wives, and they became more bountiful. Come sheep. More plentiful.
And they were a drag because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard service and mortar and
Now stop. We go through that modern day today. In that time, they said if we work them to death, then they won't have time to multiply. Then they will be distracted. That's the same thing they do today with our economic system. They raise our rents. They never raise our pay to match our rents. And then you find yourself in a situation where you're spending so much time talking about getting money, trying to get money, worrying about wealth, that you don't have time to build a family. Our women are worried about being a CEO more than they're worried about actually getting married. And by the time they get here, women have a biological time clock. So if they oppress our people and they fracture us and make us disenfranchised, it puts us in a situation where we don't have time for God, we don't have time to pray, and we definitely don't have time for our family. Our children spend more time in the public school systems than they do spend with us. In 1960s, I just say the 60s because I don't want to give you the wrong date. They started an initiative where they wanted to force our women out of the house. First, they forced the men out of the house and broke up the families. And the residue of that, after they got the men out of the house with welfare, separation, all those other things, they started telling our women, we got to start the women's right movement. You got to work. You got to work. You got to work. You got to work. But women saw that as liberation. The government saw that as I can tax two people, and now I got control of their children. With that woman in the house, I don't have two taxable incomes. I have one. More people working means I have more taxes, and that means I have full control over their children. So this is the same parallel that you're seeing there, are the same parallels that's happening with us today. They want to use different tactics on us. And as you're going to see, the same way these things slowly escalate is the same things that's going to slowly escalate with us. Because it starts off as a conspiracy. Then they actually implement it in a play, and they say, you know what, let's overwork them. And then when that doesn't work, let's see what the next phase is. Come sheep.
And did all men of service in the field, and all their service wherein they made them serve with rigor. And the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives, of whom the name of one was Sapphira, and the name of the other was Pua. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to a Hebrew woman, ye shall look upon the birth stool. If it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
This is important because this is a strategic thing right here. They want to eliminate us as the men, because without the men, you will have very little stability. I think you won't have any stability, and you won't have very little defense mechanisms. There is something about this scenario where Pharaoh had no problem elevating the women and keeping the women in a specific place, but it was about getting rid of the men. One of the most common things that we understand the children of Israel is you are who your father is. So if your father's an Israelite, then you're an Israelite. When I diminish the men, there are no more children of Israel. An Israelite man can have a child with any woman, and that child is an Israelite. An Israelite woman, whoever she takes that seed from, that's the nation that child belongs to. So if an Israelite woman has a child with a Chinese man, she has a Chinese child. We don't do half and halves here. Either you're an Israelite because your father's an Israelite, or you're not an Israelite. If you're not and you want to serve the true living God, that's not a problem. But there are things that the children of Israel are obligated to do. And our obligation is to teach the world about who the true living God is. Everybody else, if they're wise, they're going to join the house of Israel and serve the Most High God. But I do want to say this, if you are a person that's not of the children of Israel, the Most High God said through the prophets that he will give you something greater than a person who's barren having children. He's gonna make sure that we can't treat you any different than we would treat one of our own brothers. It's one law for the homeborn Israelite as well as one Lord for the person that's journeying with us. So we can't differentiate and say, he ain't a real Israelite and jerk him. When you decide to serve the true and living God, the God of heaven and earth, then you get every right that the children of Israel get. Some sheep. Well, most of them, you will see all of them. Some sheep.
But the midwives feared God and did not as the king of Egypt commanded.
So stop. We got two things right here. The first one started out with us overworked them. The second attack was he went through the medical field because midwives are part of the medical field. So that's doing with our children right now to this very day. So now but these are things that's undercover. These are undercover attacks. Remember, he goes to the bosses and tell them you overwork them. He goes to the midwives in secrets and tell them you killing babies. These aren't royal decrees yet. Let's see how bold he gets after these things don't work. And we're going to see the parallel with our lives in America and other countries of our diaspora. Some sheep.
But saved the men children alive. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, why have ye done this thing and saved the men children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, but they are lively and are delivered ere the midwife come unto them. And God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty.
And I have to say, Torah for those Hebrew midwives, those women who risk it all and put things on the line to make this nation continue to go. And some of the people in this room, some of the people on this line today are descendants of those lives that were saved from those Hebrew midwives. So we can never overlook the women in our nation who put in work and made sacrifices and did things that was against contrary to popular opinion for the benefit of our people. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Some sheep.
And it came to pass, because the midwives feared God, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast.
Now listen to this. Now it gets ugly. It went from a conspiracy to trying to enact it to now it's bold. Now it's out in the open. Now he tells all his people, all of the Egyptian people are working against you now. And this is something that we're going to face in this country. Because it starts off with, the black and the Spanish people, they kind of funny. Then it's, let's pump poison in their community. Let's give them drugs. Let's give them gangs. Let's facilitate that. And let's just all hell out war. They're not getting it. If you saw the movie The First Purge, it's similar to that right there, where they show you in these movies and in these television shows what their agenda is. First, they want you to kill each other on your own cognition. But when you don't want to take that ploy, what do? They roll the tanks and says, we're going to do it ourselves because they're not getting this fast enough. So these are parallels too.
Then they blamed it on us too.
And then they blamed it on us too. So these are the things that we have to understand that we're facing as the children of Israel. We are on an uphill fight for righteousness and to find out to serve the true and living God. For those who searching, you found out where the true and living God is. He's in a book of the Old Testament, the book that you got on your nightstand, the book that people seldomly read, the book that the church told you is done away with. Some sheet. See if you have any questions too about the portion, we do answer the questions live, so you can ask the questions. We got a brother monitoring the portion, and he'll just read the questions from the chat, and we'll go over it while we go to make sure everybody has full understanding. I know in the past we used to say email your questions. Now we want to get them on now because we realize you guys don't email later. So while you got your questions now about anything about the portion, you email us now, and then we'll go through it because we out here to give knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And we'll get through whatever we get through. Tumshi.
Every son that is born ye shall cast into the river. Every daughter ye shall save alive. Wow. There was a man out of the house of Levi, and took a wife of a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bore a son. And when she saw him, that he was a godly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could not longer hide him, she took him for an ark of bulrushes and dabbed it with slime and with pitch. And she put the child therein and laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off to know what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to bathe in the river. And her maidens walked along by the riverside. And she saw the ark among the flags and sent her handmaids to fetch it. And she opened it, and she saw it, even the child. And behold, the boy that wept. And she had compassion on him and said, This is one of the Hebrews' children. Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee? The Pharaoh's daughter told her, go. And the maiden went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter. He became her son. And she called his name Moses, and said, because I drew him out of the water. And it came to pass in those days, when Moses was grown, and he went out unto his brethren, and looked upon their burdens. And he saw the Egyptians smiting the Hebrews.
Stop right there. The story takes a shift at this point. What chapter and verse are we?
Yeah, chapter 2, verse 11.
So when we go to chapter 1, because remember, we got to give context. Chapter 1 was a recap of the issues that the children of Israel face as a nation. They have gained this great abundance of wealth. They've gained a lot of substance and a lot of notoriety. And now you have a bunch of people that want to take that from them. If you look, in the same people that presumably they helped, they fixed their lives, and now they want to take advantage of them. But if you look at the history of the children of Israel or the Israelites as a whole, you can understand we went through that same thing. During the Dark Ages, if you go into the year 711 to the year 1492, we, the children of Israel, they may call us Moors, but Moor just means black. We went into the land of Europe. We gave them algebra, we gave them science, we gave them math, we gave them all of these tools, and we got them out of the Dark Ages. When you look into when the Moors or the black people or the Israelites, however you want to break it down, went into Europe, it runs concurrent with the same time of the Renaissance. Smart people don't get smart. Dumb people don't get smart. You need someone to teach you in order to get smart. Somebody has to draw you out of the pit. If you can't read, you're not going to start staring at this and learn how to read by staring at it. I have to come and teach you. This is an M, this is an O, this is an S, this is an E. But when you look in the history, in 1492, this is just a nice segue because I want to prove a parallel point. In 1492, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabel wrestled power back in Spain. They kicked the Israelites out of Europe. They teared down most of their stuff. And then what do? They start the transatlantic slave trade. And they start selling us off the coast of Cape Verde. And then eventually the Portuguese sells us to Brazil, where the slave trade starts. And then it works its way to the Caribbean. And then eventually it works its way to the Americas. So the same people that we helped, that we drew from the water, that we took, that they didn't have anything, they had no knowledge, no wisdom, no understanding, and we built them up, is the same people that turned on us and put us in slavery. And the same for the same similar reasons. Let's do something with them before they become too numerous with us. So this is to show you the parallels of the lives that we have. And this process will continue to repeat itself until we as a nation of people get right with our God. Jehovah, the Most High God, the maker, the creator, the owner, possessor of all things and everything, the one God, the true God, and besides him, the original other. But as far as that's chapter 1. As far as chapter 2, now we're focusing on this great man by the name of Moshe. And according to the Most High God in Deuteronomy 34, the greatest man in the land of Israel, there will never be a prophet that arises like unto Adon Moses. Right. Yeah. So this is understanding now as you go. We don't believe in the book, but in Luke, JC calls himself a prophet. So that's food for thought. He says, even a prophet is rejected in his own house. In Deuteronomy 34, it says that Moses will be the greatest prophet in the land of Israel. So this is giving you a comparative narrative to show who's really important to the Most High. The Most High never acknowledges one. The Most High acknowledges Moses as the greatest man in the land of Israel. There will never be a prophet like unto him. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown up, that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens. And he saw the Egyptians smiting the Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked this way, and he looked that way.
So Moses hit the cane from innocent society. Moses went like this right here and bow and bust him upside the head. But this isn't a light thing because this is a man who's raised in Pharaoh's house. So prime example, if the Pharaoh of Egypt was of color, which we know by looking at the people in the Sudan, then Moses had to be of color because Pharaoh made a royal decree that every Israelite baby boy is killed. It will look absolutely ridiculous to have a Hebrew child sitting in your house after you just said kill all the Hebrew children. Because you got some people who had a heart. Some people like, I don't want to kill these kids. Why am I doing this? So you know how crazy you look now, taking one in? So this is to show you, it's not, the book is not going to tell you these are people of color, because when you write in your journal, you don't write, oh, I'm black, I'm light-skinned, I'm dark-skinned, I'm brown-skinned. That's foolishness. You know what you are, and you expect the people who know you to know who you are. So this is how our forefathers wrote. There are descriptions with us with locks. There are little descriptions of us, but we're not going to sit and take time. We're not the European men where we have to get credit for history that we know is ours. We won't come and say, you know what, man, I'm 6'3", and I'm 240, and I'm chiseled. We didn't think like that because we always thought the Torah was meant to be around each other. So if I'm around my people and my brothers, and I understand, I don't got to describe myself because they know what an Israelite is. Come sheep. So just remember that point right there, that Moses was raised in Pharaoh's house. If you look up a picture of ancient Egyptians and look at Charleston Hessner, you will understand there is no correlation between the two. Come sheep.
And when he saw that there was no man, he smote the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. And he went out of the second day, and behold, 2 men of the Hebrews were striving together. And he said to him that did the wrong, wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? And he said, who made thee a ruler and a judge over us?
No, listen, this is our people. This is Israelites. He just put in work for them, killed the guard, and risked his position with Pharaoh because remind you, he's good. Pharaoh sees him, this is my son. I don't know nothing different from this right here. He kills an Egyptian for his brother's sake because they were being oppressed. And his brothers turn around later the next day, because you know he got low for a minute, and they says, yo, who made you over us? Ain't you gonna kill us, Moses? Like you killed son? Like you killed that Potiphar? That's what you're gonna do to us? So this is what Israelites do to their leaders. So from the beginning, Adon Moshe is introduced to his people like this right here, because he sits in his tall house. He's sitting in whatever they got out there. He's getting fed by probably, because they had some bad Egyptian women. He probably getting fed with big leaves. They had AC back then. They had giant leaves. He getting fed. He watching Egyptian people smoke over Israelite. He looked to the left, to the right, bust his head open, and then from there, they hate him like he did something to him. So this shows you the mindset of our people. The book of Shemot is very deep and very psychological because it's going to go through a lot of terms that gets revealed to us later in the English language, which is cognitive dissonance, which is when my beliefs don't add up to my facts, which is Stockholm syndrome, where I'm just stuck in slavery, where I don't want to get out of slavery. And as we go forward with this and we expound upon this, you're going to see a lot of the psychological terms that's used today, we suffer from then and we still suffer from as a people. The same way we didn't want to get away from Egypt then, the same way we won't want to get away from Egypt now. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. We're going to keep it to the confines here. Chapter 2, verse what?
14.
Tamshi.
Thinkest thou to kill me as thou didst kill the Egyptian?
So he said, you're going to kill me like you killed the Egyptian? Tamshi.
And Moses feared.
So Moses said, oh, no, that's hot. They know. Somebody seen that. They snitching. They snitching. Let me get them out of here. Tamshi.
Surely this thing is known. Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses. But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian. And he sat down by a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the troughs to water.
Listen to this description. This description is very important because there's little clues to show you who the children of Israel are and who they're not. Tamshi.
And the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock. And when they came to Reuel, their father, he said, how is it that ye are come to so soon today? And they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the
No. Charleston Hessler delivered us.
An Egyptian delivered us out of the hands of the shepherds.
No, Tom Cruise delivered us.
An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds.
So it's saying an Egyptian delivered us out of the hands of a shepherd. So that means they saw this man and he had to be at least the same color as the Egyptian people. So this is giving you context to what we're dealing with right now. There were no Europeans in the land of Egypt at that time, so there would be no reason for that confusion. They said an Egyptian. They didn't say a man from Greece dressed like an Egyptian. They said an Egyptian delivered us from the hands of the shepherds. Some sheep.
And moreover, he drew water for us and watered the flock. He said unto his daughters, where is he? Why is it that ye have left the man? Call him, that he may eat bread. And Moses was content to dwell with the daughter. Moses was content to dwell with the man. He gave Moses
I think you had it right the first time. Moses is there with a man with 7 daughters, and the women of the east were not like women of contemporary times. In their lack thereof, if you Americanize, got to choose these words carefully, approach towards marriage and relationship, they were more on the let me serve you side. If you go by, if you follow a rapper, his name is Nipsey Hussle. He's from the land of Eritrea. Now it says that Moses' wife was Ethiopian. That's the same country as Eritrea. And it said he said when he goes back home, it's so different to contrast because when he walks in his house at his mother's side, at his father's side of the family, the women wash his hands and sit him down. They wash his feet and then they give him food. Now to an American woman, that's extreme.
Yeah, that's
but to women of the East, that's just customary because your desire is supposed to be onto your husband. If you go follow from the beginning, the Torah portion of Genesis was your desire shall be unto your husband. That's what Eve was commanded as far as Adam. So when you go into that, they haven't lost a lot of those essences, but American women will take that and say, you're oppressed. Well, if I only know about lasagna, I'm not oppressed if that's all I eat. That's my only option. When I'm giving steak, when I'm giving McDonald's, I'm giving Burger King, when I'm giving pizza, all these things is bad for me, then that's when all these things are open up to me. But if all I know is this way right here, then it's not bad. So we have to get away from this American lifestyle because as you can see, this wasn't customary to us. Some sheep.
And she bore a son, and she called his name Gershom. For he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. And it came to pass in the course of those many days that the king of Egypt died. And the children of Israel sighed by reason of bondage, and they cried. And their cry came up unto God by reason of the bondage.
This is deep right here. So the Pharaoh's gone, but the affliction doesn't stop. But this shows when you're not on the side of the Creator, doesn't matter who's the face of the problem, there's always going to be a problem. Because you have to have that connection with the true and living God. But as you go into the text, it's going to say the children of Israel cried because of their bondage, which means they got tired of the situation they were in Egypt. They got tired of, because Egypt had, just like America, had a bunch of gods. You could do whatever you want. You could play how you want to play. But they put all of that aside, and it came to the realization, we are the children of Israel. And what worked for our father Jacob, which worked for our father Isaac, which worked for our father Abraham, is still there. We have to call on God. Now, the difference between us and them is they didn't know God how we know God now. They knew God as El Shaddai, Almighty. We know the name of the true and living God, which means we can get on the phone and get a direct connect line to the creator of heaven and earth. And his name will be revealed within the next chapter. Come sheep.
And God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham.
But God never forgot his covenant with Abraham. That's a play on words. This is showing you that the children of Israel actually forgot their covenant. Exactly. You get what I'm saying? It's like, I didn't forget to give you money, but you got to say, yo, I ain't going to say nothing till you say something. You get what I'm saying? So like, oh, yeah, I do got you. It'll look like he forgot. No, I ain't forgot. I was walking with that bread till you said something about it. Was it the right thing for me? No. But if you don't tell me, like, yo, man, I don't know what to tell you. We can go to the store. I might buy some pizza, a kosher spot. You know what I'm saying? I might buy a hat. No, I know I owe you. You better tell me something. You think what I'm saying? So this is how the Most High God is approaching this right here. Because God isn't like that. He doesn't forget things. So this, I know they're going to say, they're going to kill me with Shabbat for this right here. But the Most High God isn't like us in that way where he forgets. He is who was and who will be. So time is not an essence to him. If he saw what we were going to be doing today, he couldn't have forgot the covenant. But it's to show you how far we were removed from the creator of heaven and earth. Some sheep.
And God saw the children of Israel, and God took cognizance of them. Now Moses was keeping the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock to the farthest end of the wilderness. It came to the mountain of God unto Horeb. And the angel of the Lord appeared.
A lot of things go on at this Mount Horeb as the story continues, but I don't want to get too far. Some shit.
And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed.
So the bush is burning. I mean, the fire is scorching and blazing, but the bush is staying fully intact. So Moses has to stop and consider and say, there's something different about this place that I'm in right now. Some shit. And this is to remind you, Moses killed before he knew about God. Moses was raised in a house as an Egyptian, but he just had so much love for his people, understanding who his people was, connecting with those people, that he would shed blood for people without God being even in that situation per se, how you would look at it on the earthly realm. Come sheep.
And Moses said, I will turn aside now and see this great sight, while the bush is not burnt. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, here I am. He said, draw not nigh hither. Put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou stand is a holy ground.
This is deep right here. The reason why God is telling him to put his shoes off his feet is Moses is a herdman. Sheep don't care where they use the bathroom. Sheep will take a dump. If you see the Central Park horses, they take cans, they dumps the size of tomato cans right in the middle of the street while they tread with you. That's why I understand why people sit behind them carriages. Horse will stop right there. Look, drop it right there. You gotta smell it the whole way. So Moses is in the field and he has to take off those sins because you don't know what he's tracking. You about to go before the creator of heaven and earth, and he's showing him it's a separation. The most important part of this part right here is the separation, how you separate and differentiate when you're dealing with God. You don't mention God names with a swear. You don't mention God with folly. You don't bring holiness into the profane. This is the first instance, or one of the first instances, as far as with Adon Moshe, of him separating the profane from the holy. Some sheep.
Moreover, he said, I'm the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people that are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters. For I know their pains, and I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians.
So stop. You mean to tell me, just because we don't talk to the Most High God right now, he don't see what's going on in Chicago? Yeah. He don't see what's going on in Brooklyn. He don't see what's going on in Queens and California. God is ever present. He's always aware. Our forefathers didn't know that at the time because they didn't have it together. When we get it together, the Most High God said in the prophet Ezekiel verse 20 that he will bring us back to the wilderness of the people, and then he will speak to us face to face like he did to our forefathers. But when we get to the wilderness of the people, that means we are fully detached from American society. You have to get away from America the same way they had to get away from the Egypt society for the Most High God to deal with them. Some sheep.
Unto a good land and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey.
This is deep right here. Because remember, the land, if you follow our Torah portions, was promised to Father Abraham, then Father Isaac, and Father Jacob. This had to happen. It had to. Remember, what did this Torah portion start off saying? The children of Israel grew wealthy, grew wonderful, and plentiful. That means you're content. That means you're happy. You ain't worried about going back home. And if God allowed us to get rich in America, we never want to go back to Israel. We will want to stay in America. So this is why he has to ratchet up the crime against us. He has to ratchet up the police brutality against us. He has to ratchet up the hate towards us because we will get content and we will love it here. The same way, because they had all that money. They didn't take that money and say, let's go back home. They didn't say, let's take all this cattle and go back home. They 70 people now. They could take over a nation. We didn't beat them because of our numbers when we left in the first place. But you know what their mind was? Their mind was stuck on Egypt. So since your mind was stuck on Egypt, God left you there. And then when the tide turned from you, now you found God. Because they didn't start saying they called on God because they had all these great things. So they were happy that they got all these great things. So everything that happens to them happens for a reason. Tamshi.
Unto the place of the Canaanite, and the Hittite, and the Amorite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. And now, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is coming to me. Moreover, I have seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. Now come, therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. And Moses said unto God, who am I, that I should go into Pharaoh?
Read that line again. I want to make sure I heard how it says. It says what? Now what?
And Moses said unto God,
one line back.
come down, therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh.
Listen to this statement right here. Listen to this statement. In Hebrew, the word for come is bo. But that means God's already there. Because he's telling you, come now, and I will send you to Pharaoh. They're already face-to-face talking, so he's not saying come closer to him there. He says, come down to that land, because I'm already there waiting for you. Well, this is how God is with us now. God is waiting at the finish line for his children. If you sit and you wonder, man, why we go through this, man? Why we the last one hired, the first one fired? Why we so oppressed? Why we the only ones get beat up? Why we the only ones that the police terrorize? Why we can't get along? Why we don't like each other? Why we let languages from slave countries separate us and we don't understand that this is my brother, this is my sister? The answer is here. Because you are the children of Israel and you are under the curses that God put on us for not serving the true and living God. All the questions you want to have, the depression, the divorce, the heartache, the pain, the bad relationship with your mother, the bad relationship with your father, things that you just cannot understand. How could this befall me and I didn't earn this? I didn't do anything. I was born into a bad situation. So are these people here. The people that were born in Egypt during slavery, they didn't have an option. They were just born in Egypt during slavery. But they knew one thing. They knew if we come together and call on the name of the true and living God, all will be good. So they gave it a shot. And that's what we asking you today. Come and give the Most High God a shot. If you here, you obviously tried everything else. And if this is your first stop, then you came to the right spot for your first stop. But nobody comes here for a mistake. Come sheep.
That thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. And Moses said unto God, who am I, that I shall go into Pharaoh, that I shall bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt? And he said, certainly I will be with thee, and this shall be the token unto thee, that I have sent thee. When thou hast brought forth the people out of Egypt, ye shall serve God upon this mountain. And Moses said unto God, behold, when I come down unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, the God of your fathers hath sent me unto you. And they shall say to me, what is his name? What shall I say unto them?
This is deep. We in chapter 3, right? 3:13.
Yeah.
Around there. We're in chapter 3 now. Yeah, you gotta keep the chapter and verse so you can stay with us. This is the first time in recorded history the name of the creator of heaven and earth name is given away. This is the most special moment in history, literally. And this is a name that's so sacred, we don't utter it in a bathroom, we don't utter it in vanity, and by blaspheming the Most High name, you be put to death. This is a name that you don't play with. This is the revered name. You don't couple with this name. You don't add to this name. It is this name and this name alone. Come sheep.
And God hath said unto Moses, I am that I am.
In ancient Hebrew, Aye, Ashur, Aye. But Moses can't go back to the people and say, I am that I am has sent me, because that sentence doesn't make sense. It means it said, I shall be what I shall be, or he, I exist. When he says it, he says, what, Tamshi?
And he said, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am have sent me unto you. And God said, well,
stop. He says, Yehovah has sent me to you. Or you may translate it as Yahweh has sent me to you. But we at Shema Israel say Yehovah, because we don't want you blending the Most High's name with anything or taking it as profanity. And that's a name that you don't utter anywhere. That's a name that you just don't say in random conversation. We say the Most High. We say Hashem. We say the true and living God. We say the Creator. We say anything but that name in vain. We utter that name in prayer or when we give it reverence. When you say Hallelujah, praise ye Yah. That's what you're saying. When you say pretty much hallelujah, but this is just to get an understanding of how sacred this name is of the creator of heaven and earth. So he says, he will be, has sent me. Not I will be, has sent me, because Jehovah is, or Yahweh is, he who is, who was, and will be. The tense is always applied in the Hebrew. So when you break it down, it's giving you the past, the present, and the future. This name cannot be put on a man. There is no man that can carry that name, and I can't emphasize it anymore. This is the eternal one. This is the one that sleeps nor slumbers. You can't beat him up. You can't chase him. There's nothing you can do to this God. This is almighty. This is everything. But just so we don't get caught up in a translation, because some may say Yahweh, some may say Jehovah, some may say Yahweh. Just so there's no confusion, what do we refer to him as? Some sheep.
And God said unto Moses, thou shalt say unto the children of Israel, the Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has sent me.
And what?
Sent me unto you. This is my name forever.
And this is God's name forever. So that means he's always going to be the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Yeah.
And there's no other book where you're going to find the word where it says the Lord of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But in your book, your King James Version, you may see this. The word Lord. When you see the word Lord, capital Lord, that word is Yehovah. In ancient times, the Masoretes changed it so that way you couldn't get the vowel points of the words. And then later on, it was taken out of the book and replaced with capital Lord, because you don't take this book into the bathroom. It's a sacred book. You don't sit and say, I'm on the toilet, let me read through some scriptures. This is something that's set apart. You don't profane the name of the creator of heaven and earth. So when you come to this capital Lord, understand there's a separation here. This is the creator of heaven and earth. When you see Lord in lowercase Lord, that is the word Adonai. That means Lord or master. You can use that word like landlord or human. That's the word you put on a human being. Or my Lord. That's how you refer to that. But capital Lord is always going to be the name of the true and living God. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Some sheep.
The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob have appeared unto me, saying, I have surely remembered you, and seen that which is done to you in Egypt. And I have said, I will bring you out of the affliction of Egypt unto the land of the Canaanites.
You got any questions? Some sheep.
No. In the Hittite, in the Amorite, in the Perizzite, in the Hivite, in the Jebusite, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. And they shall hearken to thy voice, and thou shalt come, thou and the elders of Israel, unto the king of Egypt, and ye shall say unto him, the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, hath met with us. And now let us go. We pray thee 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God. And I know that the king of Egypt will not give you leave to go, except by a mighty hand. And I will put forth my hand and smite Egypt with all my wonders, which I will do in the midst thereof. And after that, he will let you go. And I will give this people favor in the sight of the Egyptians.
Stop. Someone say, why are we getting free and we can't leave? Because it's not your purpose. Your purpose is a servant to the true and living God. So he's only freeing you so you can praise him. Because that's your first test for you. So if you can't get that right, it's no reason for me to take you anywhere. So he's freeing you for the purpose so you can praise him. So get that through your mind. That's the first concept that God is trying to convey to us. Just like when God frees you from America, it's not so you can go oppress people. It's not so you can live this rich, happy life. It's so you can serve and devote your life to the true and the living God. I think I stole that bar from Shemot. Tough shit. Tough shit.
And it shall come to pass that when ye go, ye shall not go empty, but every man shall ask of her neighbor, and of her neighbor that sojourneth in her house, jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And ye shall put them on your sons and upon your daughters, and ye shall spoil the Egyptians. Chapter 4. And Moses answered and said, but behold, they will not believe me nor hearken unto my voice, for they will say, the Lord hath not appeared unto thee. And the Lord said unto him, what is it that is in thy hand? And he said,
now listen to this. We pay close attention to this because remember, we don't write who we are as a people. We didn't write all of that down. So these tests are very key. This wasn't really for Moses, it's for us left on record today, so we can recognize who we are as the children of Israel. Read.
He said, cast it on the ground. He cast it on the ground and it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. And the Lord said unto Moses, put forth thy hand and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand and laid hold of it. And it became a rod in his hand.
So Moses takes the rod from his hand. He has a shepherd's staff. He takes the shepherd's staff, puts it on the floor, it becomes a snake. Moses backs up. He gets scared. He saw right there. The Most High says, grab it by his tail, grab it by his tail, it turns back into a rod. That's the first test. But listen to this right here. Read.
That they may believe that the Lord, the God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob.
But when you go, that's not really big to the Egyptians. Because as we foreshadow in the story, they had the power to do that too. So it says they put their rods on the floor and it turned into a snake too. So Moses says, no, they won't buy that. Remember, Moses has learned in all the ways of the Egyptians. That's what the Torah says. He knows all their tricks. So he's like, I'm going to do that. They saw that before. They can match that one. And God knows that. But this is the extreme that the God's going to show go to prove a point to us. This is why this is left on record solely for us. Some sheep.
And the Lord said furthermore to him, now put thy hand into thy bosom. And when he put his hand into his bosom.
So he said this, take your hand, put it into your bosom. Read.
And when he took it out, behold, his hair was leprous, as white as snow.
When he took it out, he looked like Charleston Hester. Some sheep.
And he said, put thy hand back into thy bosom. And he put his hand back into his bosom. And when he took it out of his bosom, behold, it turned again the color of his other flesh.
So if it turned again the color of his other flesh, context clues tell you so you got Moses had color.
There you go. But not that blue and white.
He could not have been. So it doesn't matter what color he had. Moses was a man of color. So this is showing you. This is why. And read what God says. Listen to how far-fetched and crazy this was. The snake wasn't crazy to the people. Read the next line. Context clues is what we draw out of this. Read.
And it shall come to pass if they will not hold
if they don't believe the snake. Now, to me, we in Brooklyn. A dude turn a stick into a snake. I'm sorry. I'm like, okay, you got it, boss. You got the juice now. But God said, if they don't believe that, what?
If they will neither hearken to the voice of the first son, they will believe the voice of the latter son.
Surely, in the King James, it says, surely they will believe the second son. So that's showing you what was the greater miracle to the people. They're like, oh, look. Arnold Schwarzenegger? Damn, God is with you. You get what I'm saying? This is why these things are left on record. It's context clues. Some sheep.
And it shall come to pass that they will not believe, even these two sons, neither hearken unto thy voice, that thou shalt take of the water of the river, pour it upon the dry land in the water.
For just the stubborn people.
Yeah,
okay. That's not enough. I need something else. I got another one for you. Some shit. Cause you know that friend, you like, yo, man, I just want to scrape. I just hit the lottery. You know, he always want to top you. Like, yo, man, I got 4 chicks, man. So anytime for that Israelite right there, like, yo, man, look, you got to do man. Mike just caught me, gave me kicks. For that dude right there, this trick is for him, because you know that I can always top you, Israelite. Tell me shit. Hold.
In the water which thou takest out of the river shall become blood upon the dry land. And Moses said unto the Lord, O Lord, I am not a man of words, neither heretofore nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant.
Now this is very important right here. This is very important. This line is so so overlooked in our history. Moses says, I'm not a man of many words, meaning I'm not good speech, I got a heavy tongue. He had a stuttering problem. Now, when we go, and I'm going to foreshadow a little bit because I got to show you the majesty of the creator of heaven and earth. The book of Deuteronomy in Hebrew means devarim, means words. But that's a giant speech. But that's a 3-hour speech from a man who started off saying, I can't speak. So it shows you how the creator of heaven and earth can improve anything when you serve him. He didn't have the confidence to go speak to the people on his own. And everybody he starts the journey with is going to die. And now he is on his own. Wow. So you start off with all these people helping you, and this is something for you in your journey and your walk as being an Israelite. You're going to start off with all these people around you. They're going to get picked off one by one. Right. The people I came in this doorway didn't even hear no more. Right. But it's about you. This is about endurance. This is about a marathon with the Most High. It's not a sprint. It's not the fastest one out the gate. It's how long can you keep this running? Could you outwork everybody? Could you outserve everybody? That's what this is about right here. So Moses starts off saying, I can't even speak. But when we go 40 years later, this man is giving whole speeches. Because when you read Deuteronomy chapter 1, it tells you Deuteronomy is a speech. We break it down into different lessons and different portions. But if you read in its totality, it is a 3-hour-long speech that he's given to the children of Israel. It's even more important because everybody heard it. Everybody heard it. He's talking to 600,000 people, and everybody can hear it. So the Most High God had that word magnified, that everybody can hear it. But this just shows you the majesty of the true living God, the things that only he can do. Tough shit.
When the book of Exodus, chapter 4, verse 10. Let us all say hallelujah. Hallelujah. For I am slow of speech and a slow tongue. And the Lord said unto him, who hath made a man's mouth? Or who maketh a man dumb?
You don't think I know you? That's what God said. I made you how you are. I know you can't talk. I know that's how you are. I'm going to fix it for you. Some shit.
Or deaf, or seeing, or blind. Is it not the Lord? Now therefore go.
But this shows you that, a quick parable, we create our own obstacles. God gives you a mission and we convince ourselves what the problem is before it starts. God said, yo, go do this right here. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. Man, I ain't gonna listen to me, man. Oh man, I'm gonna do this right here. God ain't asked you that. God just asked you to do it. God said, yo, get that man $5. She was like, $5. That's my last $5. You know what I'm saying? That ain't what God asked you. And please, don't go give me money to the chief was I said, God be talking to me. I'm just saying as a parable. The Most High God gives us missions to do. We create the boundaries. Right. God doesn't work with boundaries. He doesn't work with limitations. We, as the children of Israel, put limits on God. That's why God says, and I remember their covenant. Because it always was there for me. You put the blockade. You why the prayers didn't get through. Because you sat and said, man, God don't want to hear me. I ain't speak to God in about 40 years. I remember I had all that cattle. I was good. I ain't really calling on him. He don't really want to hear from me no more. He probably forgot about him, right? Because we forgot God. We think God treats us how we treat him. So this is what he's trying to convey to us. I don't have limits for you. You are putting the limits on yourself. But a lot of times we need tangible proof in front of us. So this is what God gives us, some shit.
Now therefore go, and I will be with thy mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt speak. And he said, O Lord, saying, I pray thee by the hands of him whom thou wilt send. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against
So God is angry. Emotion. I'm messing with you now. God is angry, but this is deep because you just saw a snake turn into a rod. You just saw your skin change color. You just saw water turn into blood, and you telling him how you can't talk. So God's like, what do I got to show this guy? What does he need? But another Israelite problem that we go through, we need men to help us do something that God told us to do. And we're going to see that as we convey, because he gets his brother to help us. We need a man to comfort us in the mission that God gave us. Some sheep.
He said, is it not Aharon, our brother, the Levite? I know that he can speak well.
I know that Negro could talk. So I'm going to send him to you. Some sheep.
And also, behold, he cometh forth to meet thee, and he seeth thee. He will be glad in his heart.
So listen to this right here. He coming forth to meet me, but that means he was ready on his way. That means before Moses got to that burning bush, he was already headed out of Egypt. Or God was talking to them at the same time. No matter how you want to spin it, God started working this plan before he even knew behind the scenes. And this is something that we got to understand. Some sheep.
Thou shalt speak unto him and put words in his mouth, and I will be with thy mouth and with his mouth, and will teach you what ye shall do. He shall be thy spokesman unto the people. And
so Moses speaks it to Aaron, and Aaron speaks it to the people. Some sheep.
That he shall be to thee a mouth, and thou shalt be to him a God's steed.
Ooh. So the Most High God gave him power he never gave him there before. He says, you operating in the stead of God, meaning you don't even talk directly to these people. I'm using him to get to you. Some sheep.
And thou shalt take in thy hand this rod wherewith thou shalt do signs. And Moses went and returned unto Jethro, his father-in-law, and said unto him, let me go, I pray thee, and return unto my brethren that are in Egypt, and see whether they get alive.
But stop, let's go back to that again. God takes a deficiency and makes it a strength. But only he can do that because he took the ability for Moses not to speak well and make him look more important than it actually was. And then he made him actually important. So he took a man that was a regular herdsman, but when you come in a place and you ain't even talking to the guy, you're like, you better let them people go. Moses said, let them go. That seems way more prolific than if Moses comes in. Because if you read the Torah, it says Moses was the meekest man on the face of the earth. So he might go in there, yo, Pharaoh, man, let the people go. That may not be received the same way. He wasn't built up to that point at that time. But later on, we're going to see he's built up to that point. But for now, God gave a handicap for something that he already ordained that was supposed to happen. To show you the majesty of God. Some sheep.
And Jethro said to Moses, go in peace. And the Lord said unto Moses and Midian, go, return to Egypt, for all the men are dead that sought thy life. And Moses took his wife and his sons and set them upon an ass, and he returned to the land of Egypt. And Moses took the rod of God in his hand. And the Lord said unto Moses, when thou goest back into Egypt, see that thou do before Pharaoh all the wonders which I have put in thy hand. But I will harden his heart, and he will not let the people go. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, my firstborn.
What?
Thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, my firstborn.
What? Say that again.
Israel is my son, my firstborn.
Thus saith Jehovah. Thus saith the Lord. Israel is my son, my firstborn. Now I'm going to ask you a question, family online, from a different persuasion. If you're approaching this from the Christian paradigm, you have, that's 322. You have to ask yourself, 422. You have to ask yourself this question right here. If the Christ of the New Testament is his only begotten son, how was the children of Israel his firstborn son? Those two things don't exist. That's cognitive dissonance. This can't be my only begotten eraser, and then I come up with another one and say, this is my first made eraser. That doesn't make sense. It's a contradiction. Matter of fact, give me that mark. I'm going to give him a better example. I don't want to give him no weak examples. If I say, this is my only begotten eraser, meaning my own begotten means to create. If you didn't know that. In English, you Google it means to create. And I say, this is my first creation. Those two don't make sense. They two can't exist. What Christianity attempts to do is usurp us as the chosen people of God. They take all of this history and they sum it up into one man. It tells you he's your priest when Levi's our priest. He's your king when Judah's our king. He's your patriarchal system. When Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is your patriarchal system. So we become the children of Jesus and not the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They want to erase this whole board and start over and tell us we equal to the people that's oppressing us. They are like, we on the same path, we on the same page. And when we die, we'll go to this magical heaven together, where this cop can choke you to death, and then he can get killed later on. He dies, and we all in heaven partying together. He just gave you the bus pass, the easy pass lane to heaven. But that's not what God is saying. God is saying, you are my only child, my firstborn child. This is about you. So what does God tell Moses? Read that again, 4:22.
Yeah. Thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, my firstborn. And I have said unto thee, let my son go that he may serve me. Let my son go that he may serve me. Now, when we get deeper into the book, when you understand when God says Israel, and he says he's talking about a nation of people in a singular soul, as one singular body. So when they get into deeper, just to give you a random for people that may be a little more advanced, that I know maybe Christians who watch Isaiah 53, that he is the same he here. The same Hosea 11, that he from there, that God said when Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called my son. That's the he is talking about. It's talking about the children of Israel. God talks about us as a nation as one person. God calls us he calls us she in Isaiah 56. He calls us his wife. He calls us his bride. He calls us all of these different personifications so we can get an understanding of how he deals with us and how he views us. But most importantly, he always calls us his chosen people. And we have to get full understanding of that right there, because there are people who want to erase this history. There are people who attach a book to our book and tell us this is not of importance. Now, for the Christian people or the New Testament readers, because we in Shemot Israel do not go into that book, but in the book of Matthew, the second chapter, I believe the 24th verse, it says, so it could be fulfilled. He came out of Egypt, he called his son, which was written by the prophets. The prophecy was talking about Hosea 11, which is referring to Exodus 4:22, which is referring to the children of Israel. But they have taken that and mistakenly used that in the attempt to build a story around the Christ of the New Testament. So we want to give you understanding. This is our book, the Holy Scriptures. I don't got the good copy. Let me get the one with no tint. This is the book that we read from. The Holy Scriptures, the so-called Old Testament. Anything past the end of this book, which is the book of Malachi, is an addition. And the reason why this is so important is because God gave us the way he wants us to live. And you have a set of people, the Roman Catholic Church, because they're the highest order of Christianity. Just like if you are East Coast Crip, the highest Crips are in the West Coast. You can't break away from the original gang and then say, I'm separate, I'm better than them. So if you're a Christian, you're just a Catholic that rebelled against the Catholic Church. You may not want to hear that, but that is the truth. A Christian is a rebel Catholic because they started Christianity from the Reform, the Reformation. So we have to get that understanding right there. And they added on to our book to substantiate their book. But we have to go from the Holy Scriptures. Come sheet. We're in the book of Exodus, chapter 4, verse 23. So let's all say hallelujah. Hallelujah. That he may serve me. If thou hast refused to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, thy firstborn. And it came to pass on the way at the lodging place that the Lord met him and sought to kill him. Then Zipporah took a flint and cut off the foreskin of her son and cast it at his feet. It says, surely a bridegroom of blood art thou to be.
We have to give a shout out to Ima Sephora for what she did. She basically circumcised and saved Adon Moshe. Right. Now, what we don't get the conversation that God had with Moses, because he's not going to kill you for something he didn't tell you to do. So we don't get the backdrop of that conversation right there. But this is to show you that there are things that's revealed to the Most High, that's revealed to Moses that we're not privy to, because the Most High God said the secret things unto Yah. However, we know that his wife knew, and his wife had a spiritual eye. But this is the foreshadowing of our mothers in the past, because they have taken steps to ensure the survival of this nation, even when it didn't seem like it's the orthodox thing to do. And that shows our sister that you can, I don't want to phrase this in the wrong way, but basically, if you're stepping up into a position, make sure it's for righteousness. Make sure it's in a state of righteousness. You can't let your house go down. Even though your husband is the man, he's the leader of your house, don't let your house go down for something that can easily be corrected by you. Tamshi. So she circumcised his son. And as we know, Israelite women are supposed to be circumcised on the 8th day. Tamshi.
A bridegroom of blood in regard
she
to
was upset because that's a baby. She didn't want to do that. She's like, a bloody bridegroom you made me. Look at me, Moses. Remember that woman when she was screaming at Nino, you're a murderer, Nino. That's how she was treating Moses. Tamshi.
And the Lord said to Aaron, go into the wilderness and meet Moses. And he went and met him in the mountain of God and kissed him. And Moses told Aaron all the words of the Lord wherewith he had sent him, and all the signs wherewith he charged him. And Moses and Aaron went and gathered together all the elders of the children of Israel. And Aaron spoke all the words which the Lord had spoken unto Moses, and did the signs in the sight of the people. And the people believed. And when they heard that the Lord was remembered, that the Lord had remembered the children of Israel, and that he had seen their affliction, then they bowed their heads and worshipped. And afterward Moses and Aaron came and said unto Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness. And Pharaoh said, who is the Lord, that I shall hearken unto his voice to let Israel go?
Yeah, he's talking extra spicy. But as you can see, the Most High said earlier, I will get a name for myself. The word name in Hebrew is Shem, but it also means fame. Meaning, I'm going to catch wreck off this dude right here. I'm going to do him so dirty that everybody going to know not to play with me no more. Some sheep.
And they said, the God of the Hebrews hath met with us. Let us go, we pray thee, 3 days' journey into the wilderness, and sacrifice unto the Lord our God, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword. And the king of Egypt said unto them, wherefore do ye, Moses and Aaron, cause the people to break loose from their work? Get you unto your burdens. And Pharaoh said, behold, the people of the land are now many, and will ye make them rest from their burdens? The same day Pharaoh commanded the taskmasters of the people and their officers, saying, ye shall no more give the people straw to make bread, as heretofore. Let them go and gather straw for themselves, and the tale of the bread which they did make heretofore.
Stop right there. So they cried out to God. They found God. They got a connection with God. Shouldn't things be easier?
Man, you gotta get tested.
Oh, so you got to go through something with this God. So the finish line ain't just finding God, and I can just stop, and the end of the week, close the book, the story's over.
Just start.
The work just starts. I'm glad you said that. The work just starts when you find out who you are. That's the beginning. That's the beginning of everything right there. Because when you serving the Most High God, he got to try you. When you get put on a hood, they gonna send you on a mission. Then you, he down, he good with me. No. I gotta see what he's made of. If somebody come around, you bring somebody, even on the low level, you bring somebody around your block, I'm like, I don't know, son. And don't mess with him, man. You know what I'm saying? You can take something from him, you slap him with something. If he don't fight, man, you just chump out of here. So at the end of the day, the Most High God is showing you that through this story here, through this his story, that just because you know him, just because you got close to him, that don't mean it's over. I mean the battle's over. That means you just starting the battle. You just starting the journey. The true and living God is getting you, but he got to build you up now. Because it says men have tried to the fires of adversity. And that goes for our sisters as well, too. Y'all better don't get started because your husband is serving God. You got to find that relationship for yourself. And then you got to serve the true and living God. And you're going to have your own individual tests. This is not an easy way. If you want the easy way out, you can go to that other side where they blame the devil. and they give praise to the wrong guy. But if you're willing to fight, you're willing to battle, and you're willing to be blessed at the end, because we are blessed while you do it. Because the Most High God, one thing I can say about him is he's not the two-week, bi-weekly pay guy. The Most High God ain't, give me 4 weeks and I'll pay you. Then I'll pay you one check, even though you work 4 weeks. The Most High God works right then and there for you. He works right then and there when you serve him. But first, you got to prove that you're worthy to the true and living God. Tell me, sheep.
We're in the book of Exodus, chapter 5, verse 10. Verse 9. Let us all say hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Let heavier work be laid upon the men, that they be laboring therein. Let them not regard lying words. And the taskmasters of the people went out, and their officers, and they spoke to the people, saying, Thus saith Pharaoh, I will not give you straw. Go yourselves, get straw where ye may find it. For naught of the work ye shall be diminished. So the people were scattered abroad throughout all the land of Egypt to gather stubble for straw. And the taskmasters were
how big Egypt is. They went throughout a whole country trying to find straw.
That's crazy.
Remember, they only in Goshen. But they went throughout the whole country trying to find an easier way. But there ain't no easier way. Because God has said, Pharaoh, go on in his heart, I'm going to make this tough on you. So they went searching for an easier way for now. But we check out all the time. We come here and we say, nah, that's too crazy. I got to give up what? Shrimp? Pork, crab, lobster? Let me go to Islam. I'll give it the pork, but at least they can get shrimp over there. We do that all the time when we check out on the true and living God, trying to find an alternative to the truth. The truth is the hard part. The truth is it ain't easy. The truth is it's an uphill battle. Anything else is a cop-out. And that's what they tried to do. But it didn't work. Tell sheep.
And the officers of the children of Israel, whom Pharaoh's taskmasters had set over them, were beaten, saying, Wherefore have ye not fulfilled your appointed task in the making brick, both yesterday and today?
So the leaders get it tougher.
Wow.
So if you take up a leadership role, they work, but you get beat. So this is showing you what you're signing up for when you're serving this God. Be careful what you want to jump into, because it's not an easy road. Especially if you want to go to the higher level, because it's anything to be a layman. When you go up that ladder, they expect more from you. Even the enemy looking at you worse. They're like, let's put some real pain on him. Because when we break him, all of the, what they say, strike the shepherd and the sheep to scatter, that's how they're treating it right now. Some sheep.
Then the officers of the children of Israel came to cry unto Pharaoh, saying, Wherefore dealest thou on us with thy servants?
Oh, tender heart. You blame Moses now. You was all happy before. You was all good. It was all good just a week ago. Now it's like, oh man, you made it harder. But see, this is so deep in my heart, because reading this portion right here made me a better leader on my job. I'm the union rep of my job. This is a random story. I know it's getting late. And I represent 130 people. All praise to the Most High, where he gives me the wisdom and the discernment to help defend them and defend their jobs and everything goes well. But when the minute something goes wrong, when I take a stand, I say, listen, we can't do this. And they cut overtime. Here this Negro go. Here he go. Oh, man, why you say something, man? Just leave. So what they jerking in? Leave him, man. We need to get ours. And I'm like, nah, if they jerking one of us, then they can jerk all of us. You could be him. Nah, but I'm not him, man. Just let him jerk him, man. You messing it up, man. Come on, Xmas is coming. I need this money, man. Let's get this guy out of here. I hate you. This is what you go through. But when I'm winning battles, when everything is succeeding, oh, they love me. I'm the man. Katie, you the man. You the man. I love you. I love you. But this is how it goes. So understand, when you sign up for leadership, you sign up for everything that comes with it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the people, most of the time, is only going to be as faithful as the tide turns. When they up, they happy. When they down, they hate you. Some shit.
There is no straw given to thy servants. And they say to us, make brick. And behold, our servants are beaten but the fault is in thine own people. But he said, ye are idle, ye are idle.
Oh, y'all chilling, y'all chilling. I'm gonna give it to you in regular English. He said, y'all chilling, y'all chilling. Read.
Therefore, ye say, let us go and sacrifice to the Lord. Go therefore now and work, for there shall no straw be given you. Yet ye shall deliver the tail of breast. And the officers of the children of Israel did see that they were set on mischief, when they said, ye shall not diminish aught from the breast, your daily task. And they met Moses and Aaron.
But they do that to us every day. When they raise the prices, they lower the wages and raise the rent. Or they lower the wages and raise the price on food. And they still expect you to come back with the same amount. Because now you got to work twice as hard. Now you're picking up another job. And another job means you don't got time for God. You don't got time for your children. You don't got time to pray. You don't got time to teach your children. All these things are tactics used today. The nations that hate us are using the same plays, and we just can't stop them. We can't stop them, not because we can't, because we just don't want to. Because it's the same stuff. There's nothing new under the sun. Inflation is then, inflation is now. I'm going to give you less material, and I want double the work. Matter of fact, keep up the work and then double it. Because y'all got time to pray, you got too much time on your hands. If you can think about God here, you got too much free time. I gave you Instagram, I gave you Facebook, you ain't like MySpace, I took that away. Come on, man, I'm giving you, what's that new show? What's that new, with the bird box? Gave you bird box, everybody talking about that. Come on, y'all got too much free time on your hands. Game of Thrones on, power. Then at the power hit you with the Super Bowl. Then the Super Bowl hit you with the baseball. Then hit you with the finals. I'm giving it, I got this clicking all year, right? Y'all got too much time, baby. So I'm gonna make y'all work, because y'all serving God. We can't have that. Some shit.
And they said unto them, the Lord look upon you and judge, because he had made our Savior to be appalled in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of his servants, to put his sword in their hand and slay us. And Moses returned unto the Lord, and dealt ill with his people. Why is it that thou hast sent me? For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in thy name, he had dealt ill with
So
his
Moses
people.
doesn't understand because he knows the plan, but he can't believe it. And that's indicative of how we are in our beginning stages. We know the plan. We know the nations are out to stop us. We know they hate us. We know they won't stop until they stop us. And we know our mission is to serve the true living God, teach everybody who the true living God is, and get home. But we still find ourselves, yo, man, why I got hit with this eviction notice? Why they took my car? Why my mother sick? Why my son died? Why my brother got killed? Why my sister got cancer? How does all this happen? I'm serving God. I'm supposed to be great. But all of these things are steps and building blocks into making you who God needs you to be. Because only a remnant wholly determined for righteousness is going back home. Wholly determined means your car being taken won't get to you. You losing your partner won't get to you. You losing your brother won't get to you. Your children sick won't get to you. Your girlfriend arguing with you won't get to you. Your husband arguing with you won't get you. None of that is going to deter you from following the true and living God. Determine me, I don't care about the obstacle before me. And this is what God is building up Moses for. He's letting you know this is not going to be easy, because as we can see, we know the history, the brothers in this room, because we read this book before. But the people who don't know, this is not the worst of our people. This is like, well, Moses would beg for this time back. By the time we get to the book of Deuteronomy, he's like, please give me them fools from the beginning. We plan to kill them. We plan to go back. It get crazy. So if he got broken here, it was no hope for us. So he had to see a taste of how it's going to be, because calamity builds character. And I say that to say, so Moses came in, Pharaoh, other people come like, okay, and we all walk out cool, chilling, and then God put us through the test. Moses might have really broke down, because he's sitting up there like, damn, this was all, literally all, it's too easy. How y'all start flipping out? So he wants you to see what you got in store going ahead for you and serving the true and living God. Come sheep.
Neither hast thou delivered thy people at all. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. See? 6-1. That's anticlimactic right there. I thought it was more. Read the line again. Let's end it on a good note, man. Yeah. That's 6-1?
No, you gotta read 6-1.
Yeah, I know it was 6-1. You gotta read 6-1.
And the Lord said unto Moses, now shalt thou see what I will do to Pharaoh. For by a strong hand shall he let them go, and by a strong hand shall he drive them out of his land. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Now, that's the end. I'm about to say, like, what's up with that right there? Like, yo, God, why you did that to me? Family online. If y'all don't left on that note, I'm sorry, man. They're like, why you did that to me? That's what I told all of that. Stop it. So the Most High God is showing us, and he's letting Moses know. And this is to give you to get your appetite going for Most High willing. If you're here next week for the next shot, for the next Torah portion, the Most High God. And sorry for the late start, family. We had a lot of technical difficulties. I take full responsibility for that because we should have started way earlier than we did. Normally, these begin at 7 o'clock sharp, and we won't have this problem again in the future. They're going to be going 7 o'clock sharp, and we will have better camera equipment because this right here is really crazy. But it's about getting the word of the true and living God out. We have to get the word out. And I just want to say this, the Most High God with that portion is trying to convey to Moses at the end in that. He's just setting the stage. I want things to be as bad as possible because you don't get no name on fixing something that's already fixed. When somebody's good, you don't get name on for that. You get rep. You get a name for knocking down something that's actually built up. You don't take the low-bearing fruit and think you're getting a name for yourself. So the Most High God set the stage so that way we can see the majesty of the true and living God. You got to let things get worse before you can make them better. Hallelujah. What we heard was the Torah portion, Shemot. That's Exodus 1 to Exodus 6:1. The word Shemot means names. What we went over in chapters 1 was the children of Israel and how they forgot the deeds of our forefather Joseph. And chapter 2 was an introduction to Adon Moses or Lord Moses, one of the greatest men of Israel. May his memory be blessed. Hallelujah. Chapter 3 and 4 was the revealing of the name of the Creator. Chapter 3 was the revealing of the name of the true and living God. Chapter 4 was an example of the miracles and who God's chosen people was. And chapter 5 was how Pharaoh dealt with us. And the beginning of chapter 6 shows you how the Most High God is telling you, he hit the Birdman hands on me. I got something for you, playboy. I got some Pharaoh, playboy. So once again, this is Shemai Israel. We here. Huh? The what? I let the people decide what the what. As a matter of fact, we're gonna tune in. We're gonna have chop up sessions where we go over the what. So that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be with the brothers at SOG. We're gonna sit down and we just gonna throw out different scenarios and break down different things. And none of these things are the written word, and it's not telling you the doctrine to go about, but this is basically just showing how we sit down and we study the Torah and how we expound and we just share our thoughts and how we see the portion playing out and just give a different perspective. That way it's just not one voice always heard the whole time. But just to keep you back on track for the people who's watching for the first time, who are part of the children of Israel, if you are a descendant of anyone or anyone that was affected by the transatlantic slave trade, which was written in Deuteronomy 28, verses 16 to 68. Verse 64 to 68 speaks about we will go back into Egypt on ships. And that has only happened to the children of Israel. Our forefathers are Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob's name was changed to Israel, and then he had 12 sons, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Asher, Naphtali, Gad, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, and Benjamin. Joseph had 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, and these are the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And if you're watching, you're part of this. Tune in to us Friday. We have our Erev Shabbat. We have our Shabbat lessons on Saturday, or on Shabbat, which is mistakenly called Saturday. And we have our street teachings that we do, the subway series, where we will be hitting the subways of New York City, teaching our people who the true and the living God is. And we have in-depth, in-person breakdowns of the word. So if you want to hear the word, we will be at Broadway Junction this Sunday, breaking down the word of the true living God and telling our people who they are, the children of Israel. All honor, all praise, all glory to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. We'll close out with a prayer. Who got the prayer? Prince Lakai.
All the need to Lord, honor, glory, praise to the name of Most High God. God,
You gotta talk up, Prince.
God of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Most High God, we thank you for this assembly of brothers coming together to share wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of your way and your high and holy name, and the purpose of why man is here on earth, which is to learn about you, learn to move closer to you, learn how to live on this earth, and also to keep your commandments and to fear you, to praise you and thank you every day for our lives, for our health, for our strength, the lives of our loved ones, our family members, and all that we hold God close to us, Jehovah. We ask that you guide, shield, and protect, and keep us far from any danger seen or unseen. And as we continue to go out through this week, and we come to Shabbat, the high holy day of rest, that we thank you, Jehovah, that we make it through another week, where we could come back to learn more about your Torah and your way, your high holy name. I say, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Shema, Yisrael, Yah Eloheinu, Yah Akkad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Solely over my head. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All honor, praise, and glory to God, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Told our family, shalom.